What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Ride or Die Canines. We're here today with Pawcast episode number 3. Today we got Jrock from over at Consistent Kennels. I'm gonna have him introduce himself, and we're just gonna talk dogs here for a few with you guys. So
Awesome.
introduce yourself.
First and foremost, I just want to say thank you to Joe for having me on. I really appreciate what you're doing, brother. My name's Jrock, as he just said. I own Consistent Kennels in Phoenix, Arizona. I started my kennel legitimately and really started investing in my program and really getting, professionally progesterone, really taking it seriously and going to the next level in 2014. But prior to that, my grandparents, on both sides of my family, I had a grandparent that bred Dogos, and that was what really got me interested. Dogs was always my passion.
Yeah,
As a kid, my brother was always,
that's a real dog.
Right. Yeah, but my brother was like always really into bikes and like dogs. I mean, it didn't matter if it was a Shih Tzu or a Dalmatian. Like it was just always, I just always loved dogs. Animal Planet was always my thing. And initially, I had wanted to, be a military or a canine trainer. And as things transpired, I just gravitated towards the look of the American Bully. I breed micro Frenchies as well. That's more of my ladies thing. My main focus and my main, focus 100% is the XL American Bullies. Although we are going to a top stud, investing everything in the Frenchies as well. I only have one Frenchie as a foundation female, and we're going to start from there.
So what registries do you use for your dogs? Because you got two different bully breeds. Are the Frenchies registered? Like, do you do ABKC or?
No, so my French Bulldogs are all registered through the American Kennel Club, the AKC. And then for my American Bullies, they're registered ABKC and the UKC. The American Kennel Club, the American Bully Kennel Club and the United Kennel Club is who I registered through.
Okay. You see a difference in clientele from people coming from the two different registries? Like their attitude towards the breed?
Slightly. I mean, to keep it all the way honest, it seems like people that see, the Hulk, or they see some famous dog and they just want a dog, that looks badass. They're, are normally seem to be UKC, or they think purple ribbon means something. And but people that are normally breeders or, that are going that route and they're investing into a program and they're spending, a lot of money on a top pick and they're getting something quality for their foundation for their kennel. I seem they like ABKC more because not only because now them allowing the blue blotched, which is the Merle, but they're a lot more lenient with the colors and I just feel like breeders lean towards that a little bit more.
Yeah, definitely. So let's see. How long have you been doing this now?
I would say 2014, I purchased my foundation female, and that was when I really started getting everything, establishing my XL line. I really loved Sunline. Anthony's son over at Sunline has been producing top quality bulls for years. I always gravitated towards that look. I liked that style. I like the blocky head. I like a good spread, but not too exaggerated. I have a lot of dogs that have juggernaut blood, but that's just, a breeding tool into my program. That's not really the look I'm after. I like a more athletic dog that can still, jump in and out of my truck. A dog that still has drive, but I want a good off switch. And getting into the breed, the main things that I wanted to focus on in my yard and establishing my bloodline, because at the end of the day, I am a breeder. I'm not just clucking puppies or having litters. Everything I do is for a reason. And I really, really wanted to focus on, the sloppy jowls from the Mastiff lines. And then, the really bad rears. I can't stand those stiff back legs.
Yeah.
I don't want to have a big. Yeah, the size is irrelevant to me if the dog can't perform and isn't powerful. The analogy I always use, why would you want a basketball player that's 8'1", but his knees are all bowed out and the guy can't move? I would rather have a LeBron James all day that is athletic, agile, strong, smart, and good nerves. Obviously, as well. A lot of bullies, with people just throwing in all these breeds and, trying to cut corners, throwing in bulldog and different types of mastiff. They have a lot of stability issues and a lot of nerve issues. And that's something that we've extremely focused on over on my yard. And,
I could see a lot of that stuff showing up in the XLs, because you see it. When you do see it within the American Bully community, it seems like it's always showing up either on the classic dogs, the standards, and the XLs, because they're so closely bred to those bigger dogs with, they weren't paying attention to nerve a lot of the time when it was more important. They wanted the size. They wanted the big head. They wanted the color.
Absolutely. And that's where things were so different for me, from coming from a performance background. Like I had mentioned prior, my grandfather bred dogos. Everything was based on performance. They didn't care if a dog had a large black spot on his head, if it was lacking, it was all about performance, just like the game dogs were. Game dogs was my first love. But in the position that I'm in right now and where I live with my family, it's just not right for me to own them. I just don't
Right.
think it's right. When I have property again, I'll have a couple quality game dogs. I just love their tenacity. I love everything about the bully breed, from their short hair to how they are, how they feel, emotion with people,
Yeah.
how they are in the house, just pretty
They
much
they bring
everything
that
about the
bond that a
breed.
pit bull, even a game dog pit bull, will give you. That just strong one-on-one bond. They choose their
Oh yeah.
person and they love harder than any other breed
Yep.
you cross. The bully
Oh yeah.
seems to carry that quality from the pit bull with it,
Oh
100%.
yeah. 100%. That's one thing that I think, from all the different lines, from whether it be Dela Cruz, Sunline, all these different bloods that I've dabbled with. I have seen, a lot of amazing things from each. Obviously, they all have their quirks. Anybody establishing a line is trying to find the best route for them. But, I've been extremely selective. It's always been quality, not quantity over here. I have 5 foundation females. I've only bred one of those foundation females. Let me rephrase that, because the other breeders are gonna be like, "What?" So I purchased my foundation female. I bred her to a top stud, and I kept a male and a female. I ended up purchasing my foundation female's half sister. They have the same mother, different father, so
Yeah.
that I could take my stud that I created to his aunt and double up on those genes and the traits that I liked that came from the mother side of that previous litter. And then I also have a 2 times big baller bishop female. She's inbred Carmelo. She's a freak. Also, she's not my style. She's going to be a great puzzle. She's going to add a lot of girth. But at the end of the day, I didn't produce that dog. I think she's going to add a lot to my program. But is that my cup of tea? No, she is not.
Yeah, and sometimes people don't know the difference sometimes between breeding stock and show stock and stuff
Yeah,
like that. There are different
absolutely.
pieces to the puzzle
Yeah,
that create the product you want,
absolutely.
create the dog you want.
So many people, brother, as you know, Joe, so many people think it's just throwing, a good looking male with a good looking female, and you think you're just going to get a home run. That's where, that's where the breeding and, the hobbyists and, why we love this so much, because it's so much more in depth than that. As anybody that, actually, most of your subscribers, I'm assuming, are dog people. That's why they're watching your stuff. But
Yeah.
a lot of people, are just so blown away that, that we have to, match up the pedigree, scatterbred, line bred, inbred. Like, people are just like, what do you mean? Like, why don't you breed him to her? They just don't comprehend.
Yeah.
I mean, we've taken it a step further. I've got all my dogs colored, tested. I don't breed for color by any means, but I do like to know when, I have someone spending $4,000 to $7,000 on a puppy. If they inquire and they want a question and they are asking what colors, I like to know. I studied that early on, with the genotypes, with the AT. Everyone was obsessed with the tricolor. So when I
Yep.
selected my foundation blood, the structure, the short back, the not high rear, the good chest, the tight feet, those were all priorities. The color was just a bonus.
Yeah, once you get everything else there, that's really all you got to worry about. But at the same time, like you said, even though that's not supposed to be anybody's main concern when they're trying to put together a program, is to try and build a program around color, it is
Right.
something that is very important to consider, because if you start pulling out recessive albino genes or that Merle gene, which stems from it, or you're doubling or tripling and quadrupling down too hard on too many of the, say blue gene, for example,
Yep.
the problems that are going to come out of that. You're going to have skin issues for generations afterwards if you
Yep.
blend that the wrong way. Because even when you blend it the right way, you still deal with a little bit of that every once in a while. You see it show up.
Absolutely. I mean, always with the dilutes, anything, whether you have a liver or you have a blue, normally, they always tend to have the skin issues. But just like you said, exactly. I normally try not to breed 2 blues together. We try to avoid all that, because if I was spending, which I have, I've spent top dollar. A lot of people ask, why are your prices so high? And when I hear that, you wouldn't go buy a Bugatti or a Ferrari and ask them why it is what it is. It's that because it's quality, and because someone put years into work into it and they established it and its performance. It's the same thing. If someone wants a $500 Craigslist dog, They don't know its temperament, and they don't know anything about it, and they didn't, health test, and that's the route they want to go. God bless them, go adopt, do whatever they want. But if someone's trying to get something quality, something tested that they know the generations prior, what was behind it, and how the dog is going to act and the traits it's going to carry, that's when someone, comes to us, something we invest a
Yeah,
lot of
exactly.
time in this.
And there's nothing, I don't care, even if you have the best blood, and this is what stuck out about your program to me when we talked the first time too, the early neurological stimulation. I don't
Oh
see
yeah.
enough people in this bully community or in the dog community in general that take that serious enough, all the benefits that come with it. And I'd like to hear if you have any experience with that and why you started doing it and what you've seen,
Yeah.
because we use it all the same. I've seen your videos, and we've been making videos about this for about 2 years as well.
Yeah, brother. Awesome question. So my grandfather, he really didn't know the name per se, and kind of did his own version. And I used to always ask him why, and I thought it was just like some quirky, redneck voodoo. But I mean, he would always freeze a wet towel and put that in the freezer. And from 3 days to 16 days old, sometimes from 3 to 18, he stimulates them in 4 to 5 different ways. From rubbing Q-tips frozen Q-tip in between each paw for 10 seconds, holding the puppy by the scruff of their neck by 10 seconds, holding them upside down, putting them on a wet carpet and then a frozen towel for 10 seconds, and then just getting them used to that. So I used to think these things were kind of quirky. As I said, I mentioned them to my grandma on the other side of the country who bred Skipper Keats and Pomeranians, AKC, top level multiple grand champions, and she was super into it as well. Well, those dogs can be skittish. So when I let her know some of those things, she had looked up to it, and that was when I kind of found out the scientific name, the biosensory program, the super dog program. And, at that time I was getting a little bit older, and I started kind of seeing, the results. So when I had my first litter, I did half, and the other half I didn't. I wanted to see the results. So I had 12 puppies. 6 of them I did it. 6 of them I did not. From day 3 to 16 for my first litter, half I did and half I did. And we documented everything. They all had color collars. And like I said, the things that I just went over are the things that I did from day 3 to day 16. Those different steps by stimulating them on the cold, wet, frozen towel to the hanging them upside down. And people think it's all fun and games, but those puppies that did not do those things, those puppies that did not, get stimulated, when those puppies were put in front of stairs, they would whine, they would not go upstairs. Whereas the puppies that were tested would go up the stairs immediately without question. Their
Yep.
first time on AstroTurf, or, swimming in the pool, or being in the bathtub, or even being just picked up and put upside down is just night and day. The puppies that have not had that stimulation, if you pick them up and put them on their back, they thrash and they don't know what's going on. They're just completely uncomfortable. Whereas a dog that you did that young, you could pick up that 140-pound male at a year old and haven't picked him up in a year, and he's going to be calm and trustworthy. It just established, just like how a human, from 18 months old to 3 years old is a sponge and just soaking up everything, and how children can establish all those languages and so many colors and sounds and different things. And dogs, because they develop so much quicker, as you know, Joe, that is their, time where they're the most developmental with their brain and their stimulation. And it's key to do that. And I've seen mass results, and I swear by it. A lot of people think it's funny, but we do those extra steps. We do tons of videos. Our last litter.
People may think it's funny, but if you guys really sit there and think about it, what you're doing is everything that the dog is going to do on a nerve level. Genetically, you can only bring it so far. The dog has to go through certain experiences in its life to figure out whether it's going to be comfortable or if it's going to be afraid. And
Absolutely.
if you keep your dog in a box for 8 weeks and it experiences nothing in that window, you're never stimulating the nerve. You're never giving the dog direction or confidence to let it know that there's nothing to worry about. It thinks that its entire world is as big as this box. And at 8 weeks old, you guys are handing these dogs out, and now they're being exposed to a whole new planet in their mind, full of things they've never seen or heard or smelled before, and they've never come under any actual stress in that 8 weeks, so they don't know how they're going to react. You're putting them on a cold surface before their eyes and ears are even open, and you're giving them just a short amount of space that they need to walk to resolve that issue. You're building confidence that they can get themselves out of anything that comes their way from such a young age that by 6 to 8 weeks, These dogs are going out into public with their head high, their chest out, and they're just confident because you've set them up for success from the second they got here.
100%. And when you're playing God like that and you're selecting genetics, especially when you have a breed, whether it's a pocket and it's a 60-pound little female that's shredded, or it's, you know, a 160-pound top level XL stud. When you have a dog that powerful with the bloodlines behind it, everyone knows the bloodlines that were behind the American Bully. They have very minimal pit bull at this point, heavy American Bulldog, heavy Mastiff. What people don't seem to comprehend is why so many different looks and so many lines look different, is because the brood books are still open. All these kennels in the beginning were doing this and doing that and adding this and trying to beat that person, and everyone was competing. So when the American Bully actually became the American Bully and it was no longer being paper hung as the American Pit Bull Terrier, everyone kind of had their look. This guy used American Bulldog in this. This
Yeah,
guy
that was the problem.
Old English. This guy used this and Dogo. So everyone's dogs kind of have their own traits, and they've been establishing themselves from the early 90s. I picked from those looks and those traits that I liked. I contacted those gentlemen and found out, you know, what was truly behind those dogs. So many people always want to rely on the paperwork, and a lot of those dogs on that paperwork are not correct. So, you know, I wanted to find out what was behind those specific lines. I did digging before I did a lot of digging before I, forked up some serious cash. And the biggest thing that I would recommend, I get so many emails, people, wanting to breed or how should they start. My recommendation would be not. Everyone told me not to. I did it. I love it. But if you think that you're just going to jump into breeding and it's all puppies and money, it's nonstop. It's not a 9 to 5. It's a 24/7. These dogs come first. Whether I'm shitting diarrhea, whether my baby is sick and I have to, no matter what, my dogs have to be exercised. They have to have quality food. I always have to be responsible no matter what. Like if you're having financial trouble and you're renting, just wait until you're more established. Taking on an animal for 13, 14 years is a serious thing. So many people just get these puppies and they get a girlfriend. Oh, let's go get a puppy. And then these dogs end up in the pound. That's one of the main things that we do is when we sell an animal, whether it's a pet home or a breeding animal, no matter what, whether the dog gets rehomed, whether a family member dies, if the animal is going to be put up available or they have to get rid of the dog or they move properties, anything along the lines, we get the opportunity to get the animal back. We can work together as a team and place it in the proper home. If the dog has quirks, we're willing to work through that. I train. I'm not a, certified trainer. I'm no, Michael Ellis by any means, but my dogs are obedient. I do all my own stacking. I do all my own progesterone, artificial insemination. I travel all over North America to see the studs that I've introduced into my program. I've put hands on them, seen their temperament and their offspring.
And that's what we've been doing as well. And that's what you have to do. You guys have to be patient, and you have to be willing to go get on a plane or get into your car, travel to another state where the dog you actually want and need for your program is at, and put your hands on it. Because we can FaceTime all day, we can take pictures all day, and I don't care how natural of a picture it is, it's not going to do justice to the dog that you see in person.
Never. And every time I've thought, okay, for instance, I'll use an example. When we selected our first foundation stud, we bred to a white demon son. He's a King Kodiak brother. His name's Tillicum from OC Pits. Now, when I say that, people are always like, Pits, and they get so confused. A lot of these kennels were established while they were breeding game dogs and started breeding bullies in the early 90s and 2000s. And that name is established, and they didn't want to change their name. So they kept it. Their dogs are not pit bulls. They're American bullies. They are registered as American bullies. They just kept their name in their original logo because it was already established, watermarked, and that was their brand. I went to OC Pits. We used a top stud named Tillicum, and videos and pictures and, in the hours and hours of footage that we got, the dog looked amazing. But in videos, he looked like a 90-pound, clean dog. He didn't look, like he did in person. When we got there, I came with a 118-pound, 23.5-inch tall bitch that was massive and I thought was huge. And when they came outside with this animal, brother, I mean, my lady's jaw dropped. I knew that he was going to be massive and imposing, but just to see it in person and to see his strength was just on another level. I'm talking massive. An NBA basketball is 27.25 inches around. This dog's head is 28.25. Like, just massive, powerful, tight feet, crazy structure. I've never seen anything that large be that aesthetically correct besides an Arabian horse in my life.
That's a big dog. I wanted to
Oh yeah.
piggyback off that uh, AB. What were we? Oh man, I just forgot what we were just talking about right before the.
The ABKC and the UKC with the pit bulls and the bullies, probably.
Yeah, the pits. Yeah, we're gonna piggyback off that. I want to piggyback off that comment you made about the kennel name that the dog came from with
Right.
pits at the end. People have to understand when you say pits, it's like almost like saying bully. You could
Right.
say you have a bully. You could have an exotic bully. You could have an XL bully. You could have a pit bull bully. You could have a Staffordshire bully. You know, people say
Right.
bully, and
You could have a bull terrier.
it's
You
a
could have an
general
American
it's a general
bulldog.
slang term almost. And pit's the same thing. When somebody says nice pit when I'm out in public with one of my dogs, I don't take offense to it because they're not. It doesn't always mean pit bull terrier. They pretty much throw that name onto the entire general breed.
Yeah, they do. And you know more than you know the rest. The American Pit Bull Terrier is one breed, just like a Labrador is still a Labrador Retriever. They just call it short. But society in America and all these, with every dog bite being a pit bull, they see anything with a large head and a short coat and muscle, they call a pit, and just a broad
Yeah, it's
generalization.
unfortunate.
And that's the issue with the whole pit bull terrier community and the bully community. They get so mad and act like we're advertising our dogs as pit bulls. My dogs are registered as bully. I show my dogs as bully. Everything about my shit is bully I mean, who has a 118-pound female pit? Let's be realistic. Like, all my dogs are 100 plus. So, I can't stand that whole pit bull bully argument. I love their breed. They should respect ours, and, let's all just grow and be dog men.
I think what their problem is with them respecting our breed now is they're trying to say that we're giving them a bad name because, and I see it a lot of times, people like to compare them to the pit bull when it's
Right.
not the same thing.
Right.
A bully to a pit bull, in my opinion, is a Doberman to a Rottweiler. They're
Yeah.
two different breeds.
Yeah, completely.
That I get why people see them as similar, but they're two different breeds. And so,
In every aspect. I mean, in every aspect, mentally, physically.
yeah,
Like, you'd be like taking a small fighter, like say Uriah Faber, a small, stocky fighter that has extreme cardio, versus Arnold Schwarzenegger. A bully is a massive, muscular companion animal that's supposed to look good. Yes, there are dogs that can perform. Yes, there are bullies that can do personal protection work. But initially, they were created to look great and to be kicking it around the house and not be dog aggressive. Whereas the pit bull was bred specifically for performance and gameness and tenacity and pain tolerance. The animals are two different spectrums completely.
yeah, and I like that in the bullies I have, and it sounds like what you have is on a real similar level. I like the drive of the pit bull to be there, but unlike a pit bull where you cannot really just shut that down, I like to be able to stop it on a dime.
Yep.
Turn it back on and just shift like it's a like it's a stick shift. Just
100%.
turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off on command, and that's where
And we call that an off switch. I'm sure you do as well. But when customers are asking me, questions about that, that we're breeding for an off switch. We want them to be able to turn up and know when it's time to work and know when it's time to have fun. But there's also a time to relax around the baby and in the house and be, a dog.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love having that switch. And I know it's not a requirement of the American Bully breed by any means. That's just my own personal standard here. You know what I mean? And everybody's got their own personal standards to their own unique strain of the blood that they're breeding or the bloodline that they're breeding. You're all shooting for your own individual goals. And as long as everything else in the breed standard fits, then that's just a bonus to the breed.
Right.
So
respect, brother. I love talking dogs, and I love hearing somebody else that actually is investing in really, trying to produce a quality animal. I'd love nothing more, bro, when I sell a dog and they contact me and they want another dog, or their mom wants a dog. That's when I really know that I'm doing something right. And those are the things that feel good. Everyone doesn't talk about, when you lose a whole litter or a puppy dies, or, you have a kennel fight, or, a dog dies from a C-section. These are all things that come with breeding. But, it just makes it all worth it when you have a customer. I have a family in Louisiana that purchased a male and their son was autistic. and he had never said I love you. He had never hugged his little brother, and within weeks of having the dog, he was saying I love you. He was being affectionate. He was playing with kids. Like, to
Man.
hear that stuff and to now be a father is just, totally makes me feel like I'm doing the right thing, and I'm just going to continue.
And that is exactly what I try to tell people. You can't, those are what makes it worth it. We're
Oh
not,
yeah,
because a lot of people say, well, if there wasn't money in it, why would you be doing it? The
right.
money that's invested into this will always overpower the money you've gotten in return. You're always
Always.
going to be dumping more than you take back. That stuff is necessary to keep you going and keep you afloat, really.
Yeah, you always
Because
have to
you'd
reinvest
be
back in your
dead
yard.
broke if you just were pulling out of pocket for the rest of your life on these dogs. But
Yeah,
those moments right there relight the fire to get back in gear and keep bringing you guys these dogs. Keep getting up every morning, putting in the effort that we've been talking about here with all the training that needs to go into making a dog mentally sound, testing those on-off switches in different environments, in public, around kids, all those different things before you feel confident enough to give it out to the public, playing God, creating these dogs.
yeah, you don't want to hand out a loaded gun. I mean, a female, a male that's going to be over 100 pounds and that powerful, you have to be responsible. You can't just be breeding anything and mixing in, random, working mastiffs and, animals that aren't afraid to bite a human into your stock and then handing someone a loaded gun. It's just not right. And it's going to make a bad name for the breed, and it's going to ruin everything for everyone. If we're all responsible, we continue to enjoy the breed. And, I hope it doesn't go anywhere, brother. I'm an advocate. I try to speak up for BSL. We travel all over. Like I said, we're located in the Southwest in Phoenix, Arizona, but we try to make it to as many dog shows as possible. Always hear people, they think because they bought a male from a big name stud or because they got a dog off of a big name dog, you have to make that dog. That dog would sit in your yard and no one would know about it if you're not going to the show, if you're not showing it or working it, and people can't put hands on that animal or see what it's producing. No one's ever going to pay you $10,000 a stud, or you're never going to get a $20,000 stud like you see on the whole. If those are your goals and you're jumping into it for money, there's a million other things that you could do that wouldn't
Yeah.
be affecting another animal's life and that you could make money. This is a money pit always. You always have to more dog food, make your kennels better,
Yep.
cleaning products. It's just always nonstop veterinary bills, ear crops, shipping, promotion, camera. You're always going to be investing into your stock, bettering your truck, getting a trailer for the animals. You want to make them comfortable as possible going to the shows. Go
Your
ahead, brother.
entire life revolves around these dogs. That's the point that we're trying to get across to you guys.
Yeah,
If you think that you just want to wake up one day and be a dog breeder, you got to realize your life is now changing. Your entire lifestyle is now going to revolve around dogs, and not the other way around. Whereas if you have a pet, you can shift a little bit to where the dog's not an inconvenience. You can incorporate it into your life. You don't have to change your life that much for a dog that you're just keeping as a pet. But when you're talking 5, 6, 7 dogs, it's a whole new ball game.
absolutely. And cleanliness. I mean, I've seen your yard, brother, and I commend you. But I try telling people, they always ask, "What I do this or I want to do that." You have to keep your yard clean. Your water bowls, your cleanliness. You have to look at your yard at any given time. If you were a customer and you were going to buy a dog from you, you cannot be kennel blind. You have to look at your yard, see what needs to improve. There's always things that can be better. You have to improve into your stock. You have to invest into your animals, or you're just going to be stagnant. You always have to be trying to look for growth, and we've done that over here. I currently have a couple litters pregnant, like you were asking me. I'll send you a couple of photos, but I
Yeah,
bred my female Sissy off of my Tillicum Mary Jane breeding. She was the first big female. We bred her to Zeus, who's a Pro Bowl Sinister son. Absolutely amazing, short back, extreme girth. He's not my style, but he's going to add a lot to my extremely athletic female, and we're extremely excited. And then my micro French Bulldog, we just bred to a Lilac Tri Merle with platinum eyes, 4-panel hell tested. My female is a standard. She's a Irish pied. The male does not carry brindle, and he's not carried masked, so the puppies won't have brindle. They will be carriers of brindle, but they won't have it. But yeah, we're extremely excited, and
that's
we've
awesome.
got a lot of big things
So
coming up.
in that XL litter, you're keeping something off that, right?
Oh yeah, male and female.
So how are you picking your puppies when it comes to that?
So we do what, like I said, how we already discussed earlier in the video, the biosensory program. I don't ever pick normally until 7 weeks. I used to pick at 5, and people always have that dog that they're gravitating to or that they like that look, but I try to be neutral and pick on not only temperament. Color is least of my worries, 100%. I don't want exaggerated bone. I don't want a dog that can't run and I can't take out and chase the quad, or we can't go ride the horses and it can't keep up. So 170, 80-pound male isn't for me. That's not what I want. I look for something that can move well, something that doesn't have a snippy muzzle. I don't want a long muzzle. I want a good head shape. But personality, I mean, first and foremost, that is honestly the personality. Like sometimes I'll take like a regular water bottle full of like pennies, and I'll throw it on the ground and see which one like comes up and is checking it out first. Because say there's 10 of them right there, and you throw it down, all 10 will scatter, but maybe 3 or 4 will be extremely interested, and they'll come back first. Those are normally the ones that I'm leaning towards. And then I set up like a little swimming pool from like 5 weeks to normally 8 weeks. I have them running like a little obstacle course, like little stairs, a little pit of water bottles, a little pool of like different types of material of carpet. And I just, based on those things, and I put all of them together: temperament, the dog's structure, how outgoing it is, and then based off which parent it's pulling off of and what I'm trying to add with that breeding, that would be my best advice. But at the end of the day, it would be whatever that person wants.
You're trying to look for the highest drive dogs out of the litter.
I wouldn't say the highest drive, but definitely the most stable nerve and the most confident. You know what I'm saying? I don't want a nervy male that's got his tail tucked at the show. I want a boy that's confident. Whether I clap 2 blocks together, I don't want him to be all nervous. And I just want strong nerve and decent drive. Drive isn't my first priority by any means, but I do definitely want them to have that. I will not pick a dog that does not have a toy drive, period. When I was like 17, I got a male that was an amazing dog. I loved him, but he was very hard to train, and he had no food drive and 0 toy drive. Whether it was a ball, a rope, he just did not care, and it was very hard to train that dog.
Yeah, those are the type of dogs you gotta keep them hungry to get them to perform. And that's when you'll start maybe giving them their meals through training sessions, and you don't cut them off. I don't want people to think that you're starving the dog, but you keep them hungry because that's the only thing that's going to motivate them.
Absolutely.
You start giving a dog with a full stomach, trying to offer it food that has no interest in moving in the first place. It's not going to be doing the trick.
Absolutely.
But yeah, man, I love that you do all that training with them. So
thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
How do you pick your puppies? We got that. Oh, I want to talk about that incident you brought up to me before we started this about parvo. You said you've dealt with it in the past and you actually got through it, correct?
Yeah. Thankfully. So first and foremost, I am not sponsored, or I'm not by any means involved in this company. I'm just trying to let anybody know, whether they're a pet owner or a breeder, if you're ever in this predicament and you don't want to lose your animal. They used to call this stuff Parvade. It's now called Paxin. You can order it online, or you can order it at any feed store. It's like $44. It's a 100% all natural root supplement. It's made by Amber Naturals. Like I said, I don't got no code for you, none of that. This will save your dog's life. So the first time that I used it, the dog that I was just telling you had no food drive and no toy drive. He was perfectly fine. I had him for a month. I purchased him 100% fine, playing. I went to sleep. I woke up. The dog would not move. He had shit blood all over his area where I had him kenneled off. And I was blown away. I'm young. I didn't know what it was. I thought he had like eaten a bone or something. I didn't know what was going on. The smell with parvo, I immediately kind of knew that raw smell was something. I contacted my boss, freaking out, and he was the one that found this product. This was years ago, almost like 13 years ago. It was called Parvade. We ordered it on 24-hour shipping. It got there, and it's a little tiny bottle. I'll open it and show you, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
It's a little
and
tiny
for you
bottle.
guys, I'll drop a link in the description to how you guys can purchase that.
But it's a little tiny bottle. It's 100% all natural root supplement, and it's got a little dropper. And people always, that's the first thing, every time I've ever tried to speak about it, people hear that it's a liquid and they immediately think that it won't work. I have never once lost a puppy. I've saved over 22 puppies with parvo, multiple whole litters. I saved a litter of 12 that had parvo, dosing them at the same time while cleaning poop and hydrating by myself with this medicine. So within like 10 hours of giving that puppy those doses, so it goes by the weight. If the dog is 5 pounds, it would be like 5 drops. If they're 20 pounds, it'd be more drops. But
Okay.
anyways, within like 8 hours, the dog was already drinking water on its own. Within 24 hours, its stool was already getting harder, and I was blown away. So once I had saved that first dog, you're supposed to keep this in the fridge. It lasts longer. So I just had it saved. Well, one of my buddies had a litter of Pomeranians. They only had 7, and they were tiny, tiny dogs. And my lady had put a deposit on a little tiny Pomeranian. And at like 5.5 weeks old, normally when a small dog gets parvo, it's a wrap. Their immune system is not like the larger dogs. And
Yeah,
same
and that
thing, bro, this
24-hour
product.
period that you talked about, that's the biggest. You're going to know whether it's going one way or the other in that 24-hour window.
Oh yeah. The biggest thing, whether you can't get your hands on this, is keeping the animal hydrated. They can go days without food. If you don't have access to IV bags, distill water, and you can use any type. There's tons and tons of videos. You can give them a camel hump, under their skin. You don't want to muscle it, just right under their skin, and it will look like a double D breast on the dog's back.
Yeah,
No
yeah. Look
absorption the next
like you
day.
said, it's like a big camel hump, and it just absorbs into that subcutaneous tissue.
Yeah. Yep. And you want to keep doing that until you can get the medicine. Even once you get the medicine, you want to continue dosing, making sure the dog is hydrated. And then the how I give it, which made it a lot easier for me, because yes, when a dog has parvo, they're going to throw up anything normally they consume, whether it's water or food. So what I would do is I would take a little corner of a piece of bread, any type of bread, and I would smash it to like the size of like a regular aspirin type pill. And then I would just put the 4 or 5 drops on that little piece of bread, and then I just force it down the puppy's throat and just rub their neck and kind of hold their muzzle together and force them to swallow it. If the dogs throw up the dose within like 5-10 minutes, give them another dose. If they hold it down for that 10 minutes, they're fine. Do not overdose. Do not give them more medicine because you love Freddie and you want him to live. You will kill your dog.
Yeah,
Do
and it's
not give
already
the dog
clinging
50
at this point.
drops.
It's already clinging. You know what? Why don't we talk about what they should maybe look for in signs that their dog could be having something like this? And guys, neither of us are veterinarians. Neither of
Yeah.
us have a degree in any science, medical, or animal medicine of any sort. This is what worked for him, and I'm giving opinions based on what I've heard and seen from other people. So, not saying this is
Always, if you can take your animal to the vet, first and foremost, yeah, do that. But there are times when families or people just cannot do that, and they care about their pet, or they just spent $1,000 on Craigslist thinking they're getting a healthy animal, and this happens. Life happens. If you're in this predicament, this can save your animal's life. Please go to the vet. Find out what your dog has, because just because it's shitting blood, it could have coccidia. So
yeah,
getting into
exactly.
what Joe is saying, the signs of parvo, your puppy will go from eating normal, regular, playful, happy puppy with healthy gums at 8 o'clock at night, and you wake up and the dog will not get up. They have no movement. Their eyes look dull. They have an extreme odor. You'll know the odor as soon as you smell it. It literally smells like a rotting body. They normally cannot control their bowels at all, and it will be straight liquid. The first 3 or 4 times they poop will be straight liquid with the most putrid smell you have ever smelled. And then you'll start to see traces of blood. Normally, once the blood starts, it'll continue. That is almost always parvo. Corid X, Albon, these are different types of medicines that would treat coccidia. Coccidia is also a virus of the digestive system and the immune system, but it's a lot slower than parvo.
Yep, we've had coccidia.
Yeah, see, coccidia, your dog will be, kind of finicky, not really have an appetite, shit blood on Monday, but Tuesday be perfectly fine, and you think it just ate something funny. And then Wednesday, again, have shitty blood with a little bit of stool, it's a lot slower. Whereas parvo, the dog is fine Monday, Tuesday morning, it's sick. And if you don't treat it and start hydrating your animal by Wednesday at noon, your dog can be dead. Parvo is extremely fast. Treat your animal, go to the veterinarian. If you cannot, they carry this at every feed store, Tractor Supply, or you can order it on Amazon. It's called Paxson. And yeah, I don't make any money off this. I don't have a link for you to use my name. I'm just saying this for anyone to save their animal. It's worked for me, and it's a blessing in a bottle.
So you do show your dogs?
Yeah, I show my dogs. I show XL. I've only showed UKC twice. I'm gonna start showing ABKC as well. But I'm gonna champ my dogs out. I want to just do different things, and then I'm dock diving as well with one of my females we're gonna be getting into.
Oh,
I
that's
have
awesome.
some big news. I have some big news coming up that I'm gonna tell you when we're off screen. I don't want to put it out there yet, but
Okay.
I'm super pumped, and yeah.
I want to know what your opinion is now that you're in the YouTube community, and you're a pretty fairly new channel to the YouTube community, as far as your dog channel goes, not your other channels, but
Right.
you're a pretty new channel. What do you think comparing the show community to the YouTube community? Because I see that there's a whole different world. Most YouTube breeders aren't in the show world, and most show breeders don't even know any of the YouTube breeders.
Right.
So in the
Um.
balancing in
Yeah.
both communities, what do you see the biggest differences being?
Well, for one, with the American Bully breed, first of all, it's just so different. If you go to any of the bully shows, they're playing hip hop. Everyone's wearing regular, relaxed clothes.
Yeah.
People are drinking. They normally have it on like a private event. It's normally on private property on like a nice large ranch, and people are grilling. It's a lot homier. It's more of like a party feel and getting together and just celebrating the dogs. Whereas the show ring, the UKC shows or the AKC shows, they're wearing dress skirts. The men are wearing suits. Everyone's real formal. There's no music. It's more of a competition and a lot serious. These people really aren't mingling, on a friendly, let's collaborate basis. Because in those events, it's, this breed versus that breed. They're normally not talking about breeding and using your stud. This person's focused on a Dalmatian. This person's focused on a poodle. And, they're just doing their thing. Whereas at the bully shows, there's 1,000 people with all breeding bullies. So we're all mingling. We're all passing out stickers, flyers, so and so. We're all talking about, who did bad business, who's a good, things of that sort. Those are the biggest differences that I've seen. And then not only that, but the show community seems to think, if they're on YouTube, that they'll get that title like a YouTube breeder or like some fad breeder. And, they try to avoid it. To each their own. I
As
could care less.
if basically holding us to a lower standard, like the YouTube breeders are just backyard breeders.
Yeah, pretty much. They like to
That's what
try
I
to
see.
call us backyard breeders, but since you said that, a backyard breeder is somebody that buys, and this is a backyard breeder in what I
Uh-huh.
think it is. Someone that buys a female, no paper dog off Craigslist or gets it from a friend that has a litter, and they breed it to whatever other dog, whether it's even the same breed or not, and they're just in the backyard and they just have sex. The person's not breeding that animal, and they just have puppies. They have them out in a kennel in the backyard, and they sell the pups for $500. They
Yep.
let that happen 3-4 times a year. They don't care where the animal goes. They don't care if it ends up in a shelter. They don't care if the female dies in the backyard giving birth while they're at work. That is a backyard breeder. Someone that is investing $7,000 in a foundation female and making sure that female has a stable mind and is health tested, going to a top stud, traveling across the country to breed and put hands on the animal,
Yep.
driving to get their foundation animal in another state, spending thousands upon $1,000 getting your kennel set up and having your stuff ready before the dogs even get there.
Yep.
I spend 15 grand a year on dog food alone. On dog food alone. Like, if you think this is a game and you want to get into these animals, they have to eat. If you want your male to look muscular and to carry these genetics, you have to feed them. So many
Yep.
people always ask me, what do you feed? What do you feed? It's genetics. You could feed a Chihuahua red meat all you want. It's not going to look like the dog that you want. If you want a Bugatti,
I
you
just
gotta pay
actually
for it.
dropped a video right before. That's what kept me that extra few minutes before we started this. I just dropped a video on how we feed our dogs.
Oh, all right.
Hopefully breaking everything down for everybody.
Awesome.
So you'll have to check that out. That's funny that you just
Awesome.
mentioned that because I watched yours as well, your video,
All
and it
right.
seems like you feed pretty similar.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of differences, but yeah, you pretty much mix the raw and the kibble together, adding your own little mix to it, keep it cost affordable while
Yes,
still
sir.
maintaining that balance nutritionally.
Yep. Yes, sir.
So we're gonna close it up here. One more time, just shout out all your stuff.
Appreciate you. Thanks for having me on, Joe. I really appreciate what you're doing, bro. You're killing it on here and with your program. Yeah, I appreciate you. Once again, my name is Jrock. You can follow me at consistent_kennels on Instagram. You can email me at consistentkennels@gmail.com. And I appreciate you guys. I have a couple upcoming litters. Joe's going to post those in the video. Follow me. If you have any questions, I have no problem answering. And if you're interested in some quality, large bullies, hit me up. If you want something smaller and more agile, definitely hit up Joe. And I appreciate you guys. Thank you very much. If you like me,
Appreciate you,
subscribe.
man. All right, guys. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for more updates.